everyone. Welcome back to Kinder Coach, where I discuss all things early literacy and the science of reading. Today's video is the third video in my phonics series. In the last video, we discussed what a letter is and how to introduce that concept to your kiddos. If you missed that video, you can jump back and watch that. It is the second video in the phonics series. Today, we are talking about how to move on from that point. So your kiddo has already done a great job with their phonemic and phonological awareness, and you are ready to add letters into the mix and actually start teaching phonics. So today, we're going to talk about whether you should teach letter names first or letter sounds. Now, you are going to see all kinds of information out there. Everyone seems to have a strong opinion on this, and there is lots of conflicting information. And there's not actually solid research, scientific evidence that says, yes, you should teach letter names first, or yes, you should teach letter sounds first. What we do have is research that shows when kiddos know their letter names, they're more likely to know the letter sounds. So there is a correlation between knowing letter names and knowing letter sounds. Now, the thing is, when kiddos first start learning to read, the most important part, the most critical part, is the sounds that the letters make. Because that is how they're going to learn to read. That is how they're going to start blending those sounds together to actually form a word. So the sounds are very important. On the other hand, in order to communicate and to spell words and to write, excuse me, our kiddos need to know those letter names. They need to know which symbol to use to represent the sounds. So which is it? I feel that the best way to introduce letters and sounds to your kiddos is together. Letter names and letter sounds have a relationship with one another. They're connected, and your child is going to need to know both of these things in order to be able to read and write and spell. So why not give them everything that they need starting out? Okay. So how do you do this? How do you go about teaching letter names and sounds? So what we're not going to do is something that is very common. It's happening in a lot of preschools, and I'm probably going to step on a few toes here, but we don't want to do a letter a week. Letter of the week. Spend an entire week on one letter, one sound, tons of fun and great activities with that letter, but we extend it over an entire week. So why don't we want to do this? First of all, research has shown that children are capable of a lot more than that. They are capable of learning anywhere between 2 and 4 sounds a week. Okay, depending on the kiddo. Some are capable of learning more, and some may struggle a little, and maybe they need that 1 letter a week or 2 letters a week. But most of our kiddos are capable of more than that. And the faster we are able to move them through the letters and the sounds, the quicker they'll be able to read. And I'm not saying you're just going to fly through and leave leave kiddos behind and in the dust. That's not what I'm saying. So, for example, I'm not going to introduce the letter A, give the sound, A spells ah, do a whole week's worth of activities just on that one letter. That's not doing our kiddos a lot of good, because by the time we get to the next week and spend an entire week on another letter, more than likely they've forgotten the first letter and they still can't spell a word, and they still can't blend a word because they don't have, if you have A and B, you can make the word ab, but that's it. So what we want to do is introduce some letters to get our kids blending right away. Now, there is no specific order. There is no evidence to support a specific order to teach these letters. So what I like to do is introduce a vowel. So we'll just say A for now. And 2 to 3 letters that you're going to be able to blend with that vowel. Every word has a vowel. So we really need to get those vowels in quickly. So let's say we introduce A along with T along with M. Okay, so over the week, we're focusing on A, T. Once they learn those letter sounds and letter names, they can blend together the word at, mat. Okay, that's 2 words already in the first week that your kiddos will be able to read. They're going to get very excited that they are able to read words. Okay, so while you're introducing this, you're going to say very specifically, the letter is A. The sound is A. Okay, you're going to show them how to form that letter, and they're going to practice forming the letter as they say the name and the sound. So this can be with sandpaper, in sand, it can be air writing. So it would look something like this. The letter is A. The sound is ah, ah. And studies have shown that when you work in writing or letter formation, while you're teaching the letters and sounds, it helps students commit the letter and sound to memory. So by doing all 3 of these things together, you are really helping to solidify that in the kiddos' memory. All right, I have lots of ideas for activities to do this. So let me go gather my materials and I'll be right back with you and we'll talk about some of these ideas. See you in a minute. Okay, I've gathered my materials and I am back to show you some fun activities and ways to teach letter names and letter sounds at the same time. First, super simple, magnetic board and magnetic letters. So when you're teaching the names and sounds together, it is important that you distinguish between the 2. So rather than just saying A, ah, A, ah, you're going to say the letter is A. The sound is ah. You can either do this or you can do this, something that prompts them to know that you're wanting them to make the sound. So the letter is A, the sound is A. Okay? So you're going to help them learn to form the letter, whether it is in sand, on sandpaper, in the air, with a pencil, depending on the age of your kiddos that you are working with. You're going to show them the correct letter formation, have them practice the formation as they're saying the letter, name, or sound. Okay. Notice that I have an uppercase and lowercase a together. This is how we're going to introduce it to our kiddos. Now, you may be thinking, won't that confuse them? Shouldn't we separate them? I feel that teaching them together is the best way to do it because they are the same letter and they do make the same sounds. Okay. Now, if you have a child that is very confused by this, and you'll know the children you're working with, you can absolutely separate them. But I would start with them together and then separate them as needed. Okay? So we've taught them the letter name, we've taught them how to form the letter and the sound that the letter makes. So let's say this is day 1. Okay? You do some activities with the ah sound, some activities listening for the ah sound in words, things like that. And now you're on to day 2. You're going to review the letter name and sound for A. And then let's add on another letter. Look, we have a new letter. The letter is T. The sound is T, T, T. You're going to practice that. Again, have them form the letter. For example, while saying the sound, T, because research shows that if you form letters while you're making the sounds, it is going to make a stronger connection in the brain, and they're going to remember it better. So we are including all of this: letter name, letter sound, formation. And now look what we can do. Let's move our uppercase letters for a minute. We have 2 letters. We've learned 2 letters. We can blend those letters together now. Let's talk about the letter sounds. At, at. We made the word at. They're going to get very excited. They can spell a word, okay? They can read a word. The next day, you're going to review the letters you've already done. Very important to keep putting those letters back in and giving them practice. But then let's say we're going to add one more letter. The letter is M. The sound is mm. Go through the process again. And then look what we can do now. We can form and read a CVC word: consonant, vowel, consonant. Mat, mat. Your kiddos are reading on day 3. Now, if your kiddos need extra time, give it to them. If they're moving quickly, keep them going. You know the kiddo you're working with, okay? And you can adjust as needed. Again, every child is different, but the point is you do not have to focus a whole week on one letter and one sound, okay? Some other ideas besides the magnetic board. I play a game where I lay my big foam letters out. Now, if you've already learned how to sound out a word, you can sound out the word on the ground and have them hop from letter to letter, saying the sound and forming the word at the end. If they don't know the letters yet, you mix a lot of these up and have them pick out the letter or the letter sound that you say. That's fun too. I also like to use, when I'm first introducing letter sounds and names, I like to use a letter chart. This one, I did not create this. This came from themeasuredmom.com. And I really like it because it has what's called letter mnemonics. And that is, as you can see, the picture is incorporated into the letter, and that picture starts with the letter sound. So for example, G, goat. And I have some older students who are struggling with just a couple of letter sounds. And this has been very helpful to them because it just gives them that little bit of scaffolding that they need to remember that letter sound. So in our case, we're working on the hard G. So instead of saying G spells J, they can look and remember G, goat, good, like that. And this is very helpful. There are a lot of these resources online. This is just the one I happen to have and use. Another fun thing that you can do, if you have the little clacker or a fly swatter, you can lay the letters out on the table, whatever letters you have, index cards, magnets, and you say a sound or a letter name, whatever you want. You can switch it up and have them smack that letter, okay? When I tutor in the library, we can't play it with an object. We have to just use our hands because it's really loud. But if you're at home or in a classroom and you can be a little bit louder, this is a lot of fun, okay? There are so many activities you can do, but I just want you to know that you don't have to spend so much time on one letter, and you don't have to separate the process. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time learning letter names only to go all the way back to learn letter sounds. They're connected, they have a relationship, and they should be learned together, Okay, that's what's most effective to get our kids reading as quickly as possible. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And I will see you next time when we start discussing the process of blending. Happy reading!